From Kern Government Television, welcome to this week's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting, originating from the County Administrative Center located at 1115 Truxtun Avenue, Bakersfield, California. Kern County's vision is to create and maintain a customer-centered county government designed to garner the confidence, support, and trust of the people we serve. Today's Kern County Board of Supervisors meeting will convene momentarily.
Board to reconvene. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Supervisor Peters.
Here.
Supervisor Scrivener.
Here.
Supervisor Maggard.
Here.
Supervisor Couch.
Here.
Supervisor Perez.
Here.
Thank you. Good afternoon and welcome to the Tuesday, February 15th, 2022, 2 p.m. meeting of the Board of Supervisors. We are going to begin with a report on items in closed session. I'm going to begin and then I'm going to then turn it over to County Counsel Margot Rezon. Today in closed session regarding item number 29 of this morning's agenda, I'm pleased to report by a unanimous 5-0 vote, the Board of Supervisors appointed Ron Brewster as the next Director of Airports effective immediately. Mr. Brewster has a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Management and prior to coming to work for Kern County Airports, served over 17 years as a police officer with the Bakersfield Police Department and 5 years as an investigative assistant for the District Attorney's Office and Child Support Services. Mr. Brewster began working with Kern County Airports in 2005 as an airport security and operations supervisor and promoted to his most recent position as Chief Operations Officer in 2010, while also serving our county well as the interim Divisional Manager of Animal Control during its transition to a standalone department in 2012. Mr. Brewster obtained his private pilot's license at Meadows Field and commercial instrument rating in 2000. The board is thankful for Mr. Brewster's knowledge, expertise, and dedication to lead this important county function and congratulates him on the appointment. Mr. Brewster is here with us this afternoon. I'd like to invite him to the podium to say a few words. Come on up here, Mr. Brewster. Congratulations.
Oh, good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to the board. I also like to thank my family and friends for the support, and to the airport staff for a continued teamwork and support in not only the community but the stakeholders and the tenants, and hope that we have a very productive and eventful future for the community.
Great. Well, you have our full confidence, and we congratulate you, and let's get to work.
All right. I am ready. Thank you.
And now I'll turn to County Counsel for a report on the remaining items.
Good afternoon, Chairman and board members. Item 29 actually consisted of two parts, and you've reported on the first. The second part of item 29 as well as item 30 were considered by your board. However, there was no reportable action.
Thank you. Okay, we will begin by considering the consent agenda. And for those who would like to follow along, agendas are located on the tables near the doors in the rear of the chamber. All items listed with a CA or C above the item number are considered to be routine and non-controversial by county staff. The CA represents the agenda for the Kern Sanitation Authority, or excuse me, the consent agenda for the Board of Supervisors. The C represents the consent agenda for the Kern Sanitation Authority. Consent items will be considered first and may be approved by one motion. If a member of the audience wishes to comment or ask questions regarding an item on the consent agenda, they may do so prior to a vote being taken. A member of the board may remove any item from the consent agenda, and it will be considered in listed sequence with an opportunity for any member of the public to address the board concerning the item before action is taken. So at this time, I will read the consent agenda items for the Board of Supervisors agenda. So starting on page 2, we have items 4 and 5. And on page 3, items 6 through 12 are all on consent. On page 4, all items 14 through 19 are on consent. However, item 18 is withdrawn and will not be heard. On page 5, all items 20 through 23 are listed as on consent. However, we're pulling 21 off consent, so we're only going to entertain right now items 20, 22, and 23 as consent items. Item 21 will be heard in its listed sequence. And so now I'll ask if there are any members of the public. Excuse me, Madam Clerk?
The last page contains matters for executive approval.
Oh, excuse me. Yes, thank you. Items 24 through 27, matters for executive approval, are also on consent. Thank you. Okay, so now I'll ask if there are any members of the public that would like to make any comment on the consent agenda for the Board of Supervisors. Okay, well, here we go. So this is any comment on our consent agenda?
That's what I'm confused about.
Okay,
I was
do you
thinking
have
about
something
mandates.
you want us to talk about under public comment?
Well, yes, about the mandates. Is now the correct time?
No, that's off
Well,
consent.
okay.
Okay.
Pardon me.
No problem, thank you so much. All right, so I'm not seeing anyone who wants to comment on the consent agenda. And so therefore, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda and to adjourn as the Board of Supervisors and reconvene as the Kern Sanitation Authority.
So moved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Thank you. We are now sitting as the Kern Sanitation Authority and will consider the consent agenda, which includes item C1. And so I'll ask if there are any members of the public that would like to comment on item C1, which is located on page 2 of our agenda. Okay, seeing none, then I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda and adjourn as the Kern Sanitation Authority and reconvene as the Board of Supervisors.
Motion. Second.
Motion and a second. Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Thank you. And now we will return back to page 2 of our agenda. And the next item is public presentations. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons to address the board on any matter not on this agenda, but under the jurisdiction of the board. Board members may respond briefly to statements made or questions posed. They may ask a question for clarification, make a referral to staff for factual information, or request staff to report back to the board at a later meeting. Also, the board may take action to direct the staff to place a matter of business on a future agenda. And so speakers are limited to 2 minutes. We ask that you state your name. So this is for matters not on our agenda, so not related to the legislative item. Do we have any members of the public who want to make a comment on something not on our agenda? Okay. Come on up.
I'm not sure if it is or not.
Okay, well, the matters that are on consent, just so you know, we have these 2 legislative bills that have to do with vaccine mandates. That's
Yes,
off
yes.
consent. That's what you want to talk about?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
well, that's
sir.
coming up
Okay.
right away. That's
I'll keep
next.
the mic warm.
That's the
Thank
next thing. Okay, good. Hey, we like seeing you. It's fine. Okay, so anyone that wants to comment on something not on the agenda? Okay, I don't see any, so then we'll move on then to board member announcements or reports, and I have one, and then I'll ask my colleagues if they do. And so I have something that's pretty exciting to announce. This Thursday, February 17th at 10 a.m., Kern County Public Works will celebrate the completion of the Kern River Bike Trail Extension. The ribbon cutting and inaugural bike ride will be held at the Buena Vista Aquatic Recreational Area entrance located at 13601 Iron Bark Road. With the completion of this extension, the public can now enjoy an additional 6.3 miles of paved trail to the existing 30 miles of the Kern River Bike Trail. Bicyclists and pedestrians can now travel from Lake Ming to the Buena Vista Aquatic Recreation Area while enjoying the vast, beautiful scenery of Kern County. So congratulations to the Public Works team that has worked so diligently to make this vision a reality. The Kern River Bike Trail is truly a gem in our community. And so I'd like to encourage the public to attend the ribbon cutting this Thursday and help us celebrate the completion of the Kern River Bike Trail extension. And we have a couple of our Public Works staff over here, so congratulations, you two. Thank you. Do we have any other board member announcements or reports? Okay, seeing none, then we will move on to item 13. And that is located on page 3. So this is a legislative matter, and it's Senate Bill 866 and Senate Bill 871 that have to do with COVID-19 vaccine mandates. And I'm going to turn to Ryan Alsop, our CAO, to start us off on this discussion. Mr. Alsop, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Based on a referral to staff that your board made at the February 8th meeting, this item proposes adopting positions in opposition to SB Senate Bill or SB 866, authored by Senators Wiener and Pan, which would allow a minor 12 years of age or older to consent to COVID-19 vaccinations without the consent or knowledge of their parent or guardian. And SB 871, Senator Pan, which would mandate vaccination for COVID-19 as a condition of admitting a child as a pupil of any public or private K-12 school, child care center, day nursery, family daycare, home, or development center. In October 2021, Governor Newsom announced a statewide school vaccination mandate. Although the governor has defended his first-in-the-nation vaccine mandates, he's also taken steps at various times to emphasize that the personal belief exemption for students leaves plenty, quote, plenty of latitude for families to make decisions, end quote. Under state law, only the legislature may remove the personal belief exemption. That point was brought to the forefront after a San Diego judge struck down San Diego Unified School District's COVID-19 vaccine mandate for students. Superior Court Judge John Myers said in the district's mandate, which does not allow for religious or personal belief exemptions, goes against state law, stating only that the legislature, the state legislature in this case, can implement such measures without exemptions. Both of these bills were introduced shortly after that court decision. The vaccines have undoubtedly helped protect millions of people, and there are surely others who could benefit from obtaining them and this treatment. But convincing those who are hesitant requires room for discussion and disagreement. Instead, allowing vaccination of our children without parental consent and mandating vaccination despite an individual's religious or personal beliefs is akin to holding education and childcare hostage in a take-it-or-leave-it approach that will undoubtedly sow more division and distrust rather than promote unity and the public's health. The COVID-19 pandemic has resulted in widespread and prolonged school closures since March of 2020. Alarmingly, the achievement gap in education appears to be widening, and many Californians have reported depression and other social and academic struggles among school children. Isolation, physical distancing requirements, remote learning environments, and stressful home environments have all contributed to the significant challenges California's children are facing. As we all begin turning the corner in the fight to return to normalcy, now is not the time to alienate families by forcing them to choose between their religious and personal beliefs and the enormous social and economic consequences of having to choose to keep their children home and out of school. As of the drafting of this board letter, both SB 866 and SB 871 were pending referral to a Senate committee for further review, debate, and a vote to advance the measures through the legislative process, and I believe as of today, that was still the case. I would also point out that on February 7th, the Senate voted to suspend Joint Rule 55 for both of these bills. That is a rule which requires bills to be in print for 30 calendar days to allow time for the public to review them before the measure can be acted upon. So they are being fast-tracked. Simply before you today, it is recommended that your board adopt a position in opposition to SB 866 and SB 871 and authorize the chairman to sign correspondence to the appropriate officials.
Thank you, Mr. Alsop. So now I will go to the public. I'll ask if there are any members of the audience who would like to speak on this item. We ask that you state your name and please observe our 2-minute time limit.
He deserves to go first.
Hello again.
Thank you for your guidance. Dennis McLean, longtime county resident. Good afternoon, board members and staff. I'm here again to oppose the mask and vaccine mandates. Today, I'm here to recall a history lesson on where I feel our country is heading. The Nazi Party in Germany came to power in the early 1930s. They prompted racism, much like our current administration, who says white supremacy is our nation's biggest terrorist threat. In early 1933, an emergency decree was signed by the Nazis to declare a state of emergency, removing basic personal freedoms from the German citizens. Hitler's Minister for Public Engagement and Propaganda on March 13, 1933, was responsible for controlling national media, film, theater, arts, and others. Is that not similar to what's going on in our society today? The Nazi Party would terrorize or threaten any person or party that opposed their ideology. They would scare people into supporting their agenda, much like the current mask and vaccine mandates. They used the enabling law to remove people's civil rights, which revealed their true motive, remove the opposition. These actions started the movement from democracy to dictatorship. In 1933, up to 200,000 people were seized and imprisoned by the Nazi Party. Between 1941 and 45, 6 million Jews were sadly executed. Nazism came into power in 1933 and was defeated at the end of the World War II in 1945. I am here as a patriot to prevent this history lesson from becoming a reality for my children and grandchildren. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. McLean. Who'll be next, please? Good afternoon. Please state your name. You have 2 minutes.
Hi, I'm Pastor Angelo Frazier, and it's an honor to stand before you today, and thank you. I pray for you and earnestly encourage you in what decisions, and those many are tough, that you have to make. A lie doesn't become the truth. Wrong doesn't become right. Evil doesn't become good just because it's accepted by the majority. As I stand here and see In God We Trust, I believe, and I've always believed since I became a Christian nearly 40 years ago, that we stand on the rock. I've been across this city, this town, this community. People are upset, they are hurting, they are just confused at what's going on. I chose not to watch the Super Bowl yesterday. I don't believe in boycotts. I chose not to because of the way the country's going. And I see what's happening, the hypocrisy. You have celebrities running around 70,000 with no mask, no whatever, and you got our kids 6 feet apart in plastic bubbles in school. Parents are just, they're at their wits' end. So I appeal to you, this board here, to push back on these two things, to say enough is enough. People are hurting. People are dying. I got the vaccine. Matter of fact, I got a call the other day, says, Mr. Frazier, you are eligible for your booster. And at the same time, I'm seeing the hypocrisy of those in our country saying one thing and doing another. And I deal with the parents on a daily basis, and they tell me, they says, why should I do this when so-and-so is not doing this? I got to tell you, this is the time for us to humble ourselves and to cry out to God and to turn from our wicked ways. And it said he will hear from heaven and heal our land. So I pray for you. I encourage you. Anything I can do to help, but I can tell you as one person that lives here, I've been here for 30 years, people need someone to look to. They need someone to help them to say no to this craziness, because it is craziness. Taking away parental rights is going to be the downfall of this nation, and it's wrong. I thank you.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you for your statement, and thank you for your prayers. Who'll be next, please?
I'm running. Hi. My name is Shannon Boren. I am part of Kids First Kern and Open Our Schools. I have been fighting this fight for 2 years. I've spoke at many board meetings, but this is my first time in front of you all, so thank you for letting me speak. I am here to speak, and I was glad to hear Mr. Aesop read about AB 866 and 871. As Pastor Angelo said, I myself am vaxxed, my husband's vaxxed, my kids are vaxxed, I'm boosted. However, I think it's a choice, and I think it's a choice that every parent, every citizen should be able to make. I am a teacher myself. I taught U.S. history for most of my teaching career, and I believe that America, we have our freedoms, and everyone comes here for those freedoms, and because of that, we should have choice. Again, I got the vax, but I don't think my neighbor should have to get the vax just because I did. Nor do I think kids should have to get a vaccination if their parents don't approve, and no way should a child have the right to get a vaccination without their parent approval. So I really applaud you all for even bringing this up and talking about it here today. I hope that, as I've asked every other board that I've spoke with, please just do something. The parents for 2 years have fought so hard to get schools open. I've started to open our schools to get schools open, and I still feel like they're not open. 2 years later, we're still not open fully. Parents aren't on campus. Parents can't volunteer in their kids' classrooms. Students are still wearing masks, and yet we're all here with no mask on. And our kids, with the least amount of kind of consequences from this epidemic, are the ones who are suffering the most. I teach every day that I go to a classroom. Every time I'm in a classroom and the kids have their shield up and I have mine, I'm very animated, if you can't tell, and I can't teach. Kids can't see me. I'm already known as the crazy lady at the school because I'm always the one jumping around getting them all energized, but it takes a lot to break through that wall, and the kids now have these mask walls up that just won't come down, and it's going to take years and years to get them down. I ask that this board get rid of masks in schools. I ask that this board put a letter and stand up for the parents, stand up for the children, and not let AB 866 or 871 come in between the children's rights to their own freedoms and their parents' rights to say what is right and wrong for their kids' life and their kids' education. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please. Okay, I don't see any more requests to speak. I'm going to come back to the board, and I'm going to go to Supervisor Couch first. He made the referral for us to consider these two items today. Supervisor Couch.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. By the way, I made that referral, but it was Supervisor Peters' staff that brought it to my attention, and I think he would have probably made the referral if you'd have been here last week, but you were not able to be here. So I wanted to acknowledge that that was your staff that brought that to my attention. I don't want to belabor this, but I also want to thank Ryan Alsop and your staff for bringing this back to us so quickly. If you read those bills, it'll make the hair on the back of your neck stand up. It did for me. It was just, this is not the country that I know and that I grew up in. So I will make a motion to adopt the staff's recommendation and authorize the chair to sign those letters. So I'll get that on the record. But Mr. Alsop, I want to ask you, there's also, you mentioned me just a few minutes ago, there's another bill. I don't know if it has a number yet. Can you describe for us what that bill, much more broad than these two, I believe, that may be coming forward as well?
Sure, Supervisor Couch, through the chair. Similar to these two bills, there is a bill that there was some media reports last week. A legislator by the name of Buffy Wicks and other supporters were talking about introducing a bill. I don't know if it has a number yet. I don't know if it's been introduced. But that bill would be a statewide mandate on all employers, I believe, for the COVID vaccine.
Public and private employers.
I believe so. And I don't know any of the details beyond that, beyond what I read, but I thought it was relevant given the referral and given these two issues. And as details on that become available, I'm happy to provide a report to your board.
Well, could I include in the motion a referral that you bring back a similar item as this on that particular bill, if it's even close to what you just described, if it's similar to these bills? That's what I'd like to do. And do we need a vote? Well, I'll leave it at that and let others make their comments. But thank you for bringing it back so quickly, and I'm happy to be able to make that motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Do we have any other comments? Supervisor Peters.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Supervisor Couch. I just wanted to echo the comments you made. I don't have a lot to add on that, but I think, I do want to clarify, I believe there's some misconception out there that it's this board that has any final say over mask mandates or what happens in schools, anything like that, which is not the case. But personally, I'm happy to lend my support to voicing our opposition on behalf of Kern County residents that we have heard that are similarly minded that this is an overreach of the state government, which we've seen in many different issues. It seems to be par for the course from the state, but again, happy to lend our support to the effort to oppose these, and I'll just leave it at that for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other comments? Okay, we have a motion and a second, and I would just say I'll be happy to support the opposition to these. Bills like these add to the many state policies that have caused Californians to leave this state in droves. You have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
All right, next on our agenda will be the item that was pulled off consent, and that is item 21. And this is a request to employ retired county employee Eric Mansfield as a Technology Services Manager, Step 1, in the County Administrative Office, Information Technology Services Division, effective February 15th, 2022, for the period expiring June 30th, 2022, for a maximum of 960 hours in fiscal year 2021-22, and the fiscal impact is $40,770, and I will now recognize Devin Brown, who heads up our HR division. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the board. This item was pulled off consent because after the agenda was posted on Thursday, we realized that we listed the incorrect step that we were asking for Mr. Mansfield to be brought back at. As you know, we've just changed from a step A through E to step 1 through 10 scale, and things got lost in translation with these items during that period of time. So bear with me. The item is to bring back Mr. Mansfield to work for the ITS division of the CAO's office to assist in the Kern County Justice Partners replacement of the California Justice Information Systems. He is definitely uniquely skilled to be the project manager for that implementation project. And so the ITS division is looking to utilize his skill and experience in that effort. We are asking your board to approve the request to reemploy Mr. Mansfield as a technology service manager at step 9 rather than step 1 that's listed on the original letter. Be happy to answer any questions you might have, but that's the reason why this was pulled off consent.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Are there any questions before I go to the public? Okay, seeing none, I'll ask if there's any members of the public that would like to make a comment on item 21. Okay, seeing none, I'll return to the board. Supervisor Perez.
Thank you. Devin, no good deed goes unpunished, as you know. But I love that it happens to highlight increases in salaries and wages that we are doing across the board and that we are aggressively working to close the loop on. And I don't think anybody's worked harder on that than you, Devin. Really, hats off to you. Ryan, thank you. You know, this is a move in the right direction. You know, we really show people that we value them when we pay them well and then ensure that they can pay their bills, right? It's a big part of, you know, the partnership and relationship. So on our end, and I just want to say thank you for that. And of course, make a motion to proceed on this staff's recommendation.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I have a request from the CAO. Mr. Alsop, did you punch in?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, not on this item. I just wanted to follow back and get a little bit more clarification on that referral after you vote.
Very good. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Please cast your votes.
The motion is approved. All ayes.
Mr. Alsop, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. To Supervisor Couch's referral, I just wanted to make sure I was clear on what it is you wanted, sir. That bill has been introduced. That number is Assembly Bill 1993.
Okay.
I believe it's authored by Assemblywoman Wicks. And the top line is a description as it requires workplaces and employers of all sizes to verify all workers are fully, it says immunized, and including all of the independent contractors and other contract employees of any of those workplaces. with no option for any medical or religious exemption. And so if I heard you correctly, you would like, your referral was to bring back a report on that bill so that your board.
A similar action and a letter in opposition, just like we did in the last two.
Okay.
That's what I'm looking for.
Okay, copy that, and we will do that.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So having no additional items to consider, I will entertain a motion to adjourn to March 1st at 9 a.m.
Motion to adjourn.
We are adjourned.